with Jeff, who is a musician and artist and I guess the creative brain behind Vendor. And I think maybe the first thing to ask is kind of, can you briefly explain where we are and what Vendor is?
She never left you, but she left you for herself. We're all together.
We are in what was the storage room in Lim Chow food court, and we're currently sort of transforming it into an album release and album installation. For Goodspace's album, Let's Talk About Death, the installation being called Vendor. I'm most interested in music that reaches beyond music. I've never done something like this where it's like tandem anchoring. It's an album release and it's an album installation. And they're two things that could be standalone projects, but they are in the same space. They don't need each other, but they do enhance each other.
I'm kind of curious about the process you went through to collate the songs in this album.
It was partly curated and collated and also partly like organic and accidental. This album is called Let's Talk About Death, where every single word is important. But for most people, like, the word death overshadows everything. Let's have a conversation about it. It's not this morbid, grim thing. Bringing these conversations into an ordinary space, that's the kind of the tension that I'm really interested in. That's the kind of community building and provocation that I'm interested in. I've always found it a little bit weird that like a band might spend weeks or months or even years recording and producing and mixing, and then to release the album they'll just play it live. And for me, those two products are very different, and I get that they can fully inform each other. But in my case, the product is the record, right? It's like the layers that I've spent hours and weeks mixing. And so that's what I want to present to the listeners, because that's the meal I've cooked. I'm not going to sort of prepare it and then just give you something else.
My name is Moi Chua. I'm the youngest daughter in the family. Lim Chua, it means a lot to me. It symbolises where we've come from and the journey it's taken to get here. We came in 1984 as refugees from Cambodia. Against our sponsor's advice, my parents bought a business. Our English was very, very limited. My parents could essentially say hello, thank you, and that's pretty much it. My father bought this building in 2002. He really had a vision for the Asian community in that aspect, but it's not obviously limited to the Asian community. If someone wanted to do a business within our building, if they're prepared to work hard and achieve their dreams, then that opportunity he could give to them.
I remember just reaching out to Moi, meeting her in the food court, and then just immediately getting her support. You know, she's like, I love it. Allowed us into the space super early to set up, install, a luxury that, well, we needed it.
There's many facets to a community, and artists is one of them. We would like to think that we embrace that, particularly on Karanghape Road. His idea was very interesting and we had a space available. So it just made logical sense to let Jeff have free rein and see how we go.
Well, I've heard that album so many times now. The thing that I would really hold as a yardstick for success is that because this album and this work is quite obscure, it does require you to sort of meet me halfway a little bit. It requires you to do a bit of work, actually. I think there are elements that you can just enjoy on a superficial level and be like, oh, that's pretty, that's nice. But the thing that I'm really excited about is people who'll just jump into the details, because everything in here is like super intentional. It's either related to the album, conversations around death, and also the Vendor kind of multiple threads of narrative around hustle culture, the Asian diaspora experience, the duality of that. Art is ordinary. Art should be accessible to everyone, and they can engage with it however they want, but it should be there.